Stars drifted silently above the Vakari listening post on the outer edge of the Cerno system. The crew of Station 9 was relaxed, half asleep, bored. There hadn't been any real activity in that sector for over 50 years. No wars, no pirates, nothing. The Vakari Empire had crushed every threat in the galaxy centuries ago. Captain Elvar leaned back in his command chair, claws resting behind his scaled head. "Another quiet night," he muttered. A low voice from the sensor deck replied, "As always, Captain." Then something changed. "Captain," the sensor officer said again, his voice tight, confused. "There's something out there." Elvar sat forward. "Define something." The officer hesitated. "Unknown fleet. No ID signatures. No heat, no broadcasts. Just shapes." "What kind of shapes?" The officer turned slowly. "Ships. Big ones." Every eye in the control room turned toward the main screen. Slowly, grainy images flickered into focus. Dozens of dark, smooth shapes hovered in the void, far beyond known borders. They weren't like any Vakari or galactic design. These ships had no markings, no lights, and no curves, just long, cold holes shaped like knives floating silently in the dark. Elvar narrowed his eyes. "Are they moving?" "No," the officer said. "They're just sitting there." The captain stood. "Send a pulse." Standard contact reading. A tech launched the communication pulse. Nothing returned. No reply. No signal. Not even a rejection. "Try again," Elvar said. Still nothing. "They heard us," said a junior officer. "They're just not answering." Elvar gave a slow nod. "Send a scout probe. I want a close look." A small drone shot out from Station 9. It raced toward the fleet. Everyone watched its feed closely. The drone closed the distance. 10 kilometers, 5.1, then static. The screen turned black. "Lost contact," said the tech. "No signal at all." "Did they shoot it down?" "No energy bursts. No impact detected. It's just gone." Elvar stared at the empty screen. "Send word to command. Now." Far away in the shining core of the Vakari Empire, the High Command received the message. They laughed. Ghost ships. One general mocked. "Maybe your crew drank bad coolant," Elvar protested. "We lost a drone. We received no ID, no reply. This is not some local trader." Another general leaned forward, scales glinting under the lights. "You say these ships did nothing? Just sat there?" "Yes." "Then they are no threat. Probably some primitive race playing with leftover tech." Elvar frowned. "Permission to approach." "Denied," said the general. "We'll send a real patrol to investigate." 3 hours later, a Vakari patrol cruiser named Voidclaw entered the sector. Fast, sleek, armed with the latest disruptor beams, the crew felt no fear. Commander Dross, a veteran with over 50 confirmed kills, stood tall on the bridge. "Target the nearest ship. Wake it up." The weapons officer obeyed. Crosshairs locked on a shadow ship. "Charge weapons to 70%. Dross ordered. "Let them know we see them." The disruptor core hummed. Lights flickered blue. Then it happened. A low pulse echoed through the ship, not from the weapon system, not from inside. It came from outside. "Did we fire?" someone shouted. "No, sir." The crew grabbed their heads. Sound filled the ship. Not a blast. Not a frequency. Something deeper. A vibration inside their skulls. It wasn't loud, but it felt like thoughts being pulled out. Screaming started on Deck 3. The med bay called in half. The staff was seizing. One crewman jammed his claws into his own eyes. 2 officers fell dead at their stations. Brains ruptured from the inside. "Shut it down," Dross yelled. But nothing responded. The lights went out. The screens died. Gravity failed. Then silence, total. The Voidclaw floated in darkness. No one ever heard from it again. When Station 9 tried to contact the patrol ship, there was no reply. Their messages bounced back like echoes in a dead canyon. Elvar stood frozen, watching the silent fleet sit where it had always been, waiting. Watching another hour passed, then the human fleet moved. Not toward the station. It's not toward any planet. They shifted formations lowly, silently. Like a school of predators circling prey. Elvar whispered. "They're not random. They're coordinated." "Shall we retreat, Captain?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. His throat was dry. His mind was racing. Back at High Command, they received a second report. Patrol cruiser, missing. Drone lost. Station 9 refusing to approach. Still, they laughed. One admiral grinned. "So, they're stealthy. Big deal." Another chuckled. "Maybe they're ghosts. From the old wars." A third younger officer said, "Or maybe there's something new." That wiped the smiles away. The Empire hadn't faced new in centuries, but they still sent no full fleet. It's just another cruiser, heavily armed, and a probe team, scientists, observers, analysts. Within hours, that cruiser also vanished. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. The scientists never heard from again. The Vakari Empire had ruled the galaxy with fire and steel for 1,000 years. But now, something had arrived that didn't play by the same rules. Something cold. Something silent. Something that did not fear them. In secret, the Vakari began to watch. They sent long-range eyes. Silent drones. Listening devices. Nothing detected human messages. No code. No communication. The fleet just hovered, until slowly it began to move again. This time, it turned away from the edge of space, toward known systems. Not fast, not aggressive, just a slow drift. As if searching, as if hunting. Panic spread. Minor systems evacuated. Merchant ships rerouted. Pirate clans vanished without a trace. One Vakari. Warlord tried to rally a private fleet and engage the intruders. He lasted 3 minutes. His flagship was found days later, floating every crew member perfectly preserved, frozen in place, eyes wide open, expressions locked in terror. No signs of battle, no damage, just death. Some began to whisper. Demons, ghosts of war. Punishers. One word kept surfacing: humans, but that was impossible. Humans were a myth, a story. A species that vanished from the records long ago, if they even existed at all. But someone pulled old records, old transmissions. One recovered word from the time before the Empired Earth. An ancient world destroyed by its own. Hand nukes, AI, biological collapse. They had died, or so the Vakari thought. Now, maybe. They had returned, but not to make friends, not to conquer, to observe, to judge, to act needed. Back on Station 9, Elvar watched the dark shapes pass in the distance. His crew stood still, quiet, eyes wide. No one moved, no one spoke. The ships were close now. He could see their hulls matte black, seamless. Humming with a faint blue light that wasn't light at all, just pressure. And then, just as quickly. The fleet turned away again. They left, no message. No attack. Just silence. Elvar let out a long breath. They saw us. They let us live. The comms officer whispered, "Why?" Elvar stared into the stars. "I don't know," he said, "but whatever they are, they're not here for war." The officer turned. "Then what are they here for?" And far away, hidden deep in the center of the human command ship, a screen flickered to life. Lines of alien language scrawled by. Simple translation appeared beneath. Observation complete. Behavior. Hostile. Got. Recommended action. Pending. Priority. Prevent galactic collapse. And somewhere, out there, one human mind, frozen in AI code. Half machine, half man watched and waited. Silent, unseen, until needed. Because this time, Earth would not fall. It would rise from the shadows and make sure no one else destroyed the galaxy. Not again, not ever. The Vakari cruiser Storm Shard drifted toward the edge of the outer systems. Inside, its crew moved with confidence. Their orders were simple: make contact with the unknown fleet or destroy it. The Vakari Empire didn't fear shadows. They ruled this part of the galaxy with power and pride. Commander Trell was young, but loyal to the Empire. He stared at the dark shapes on the screen. The enemy fleet had not moved. No signals, no life signs, no energy spikes. Just large black ships floating in deep space like statues. They don't even have shields active, said his weapons officer. Terrell didn't look away. That's what makes it strange. Keep scanning. Try another broadcast. Be polite. Officer nodded and sent the signal. No reply. The ship's bridge was quiet. Tension grew. Terrell gave the order. Arm plasma batteries, charged to 50%. Target the nearest vessel. Still no movement, said the sensor tech. They're ignoring us or studying us, Terrell said. He stared harder. The shapes didn't flicker or hum. They didn't even reflect light like normal ships. It was as if space itself bent around them. They weren't just black. They were empty. Locked target, Terrell said. Locked. He hesitated and said, don't fire, just ... Ping them with a target lock. Maybe they'll respond. The weapons system locked on to the closest ship. Still there was no reaction. Terrell was about to speak when it happened. A quiet pulse rang through the ship. Not loud, not sharp. And slow, like a breath from the void. Did you hear that? Someone whispered. It wasn't internal, said the tech. It came from ... them. Terrell stood slowly. Was it a weapon? No heat, no energy spike, no signs of attack? Then came the scream. Deck 4. The sound ripped through the comms channel, pitched, filled with pain. Medical emergency. Someone shouted. Terrell looked at the screen. His eyes went wide. The crew on Deck 4 had collapsed. Some were twitching. Others stood still, eyes wide, mouths open like they were silently screaming. One of them began to beat his head against a wall. The lights flickered, contained the deck. Terrell barked. Doors sealed. Status of the fleet, he asked, pointing. At the screen, the black ships hadn't moved. Nothing, said the sensor officer. They didn't fire. They didn't move. But something entered our ship. Scan for radiation. Gas. Viral codes. No signs of anything. Then what did they do? Terrell asked. Nobody had an answer. The hum returned. Deeper now. More intense. The crew grabbed their heads. Some screamed. One fell to the floor, eyes bleeding. Terrell stumbled back. Cut power to weapons. Break the lock. The weapons officer tried, but the system was frozen. I can't. Controls are dead. And the ship's engines powered down. The lights shut. Off-gravity failed. The storm shard went dark. Floating helplessly beside the enemy fleet, every crew member was still alive, but they couldn't move, couldn't think. The sound had entered their minds, a sound too low to hear with ears. A signal meant for something deeper, something primal. Terrell floated in the dark, his mind on fire. He tried to scream, but no sound came. Then, ... silence. All systems returned. Lights flicked on. Gravity resumed. But the crew didn't move. Everyone on the bridge was unconscious. Some drooled. Others stared forward, unblinking, their minds shattered. Terrell's hand twitched. He blinked slowly. He was alive, but something was wrong. He no longer remembered where he was, or who he was. Only one word echoed in his. Fading thoughts, observed back at the Empire's capital. The last known transmission from the storm shard reached. High Command? It was 1 second of static, and then silence. A third ship gone. No wreckage. No alarm. Just silence. Now the High Council of the Vakari Empire could no longer laugh. In the war, room leaders stood around the display, watching the unknown fleet hover at the edge of known space. They hadn't attacked. They hadn't moved. But they had taken 3 ships without firing a shot. One general said, "We are being tested." Another said, "No, we are being warned." But the grand strategist, Vorkal, narrowed his yellow eyes and pointed a claw at the screen. They are ghosts, machines. They may look powerful, but they hide because they fear us. A young officer said, "Sir, with respect, they didn't hide. They erased us." Vorkal slammed his fist on the table. "We respond now. Send the Devourer fleet. All of it." The chamber went silent. "That's over 300 warships," someone whispered. Vorkal growled. "Yes, and not one of them will return empty." Across the stars, hundreds of Vakari ships began to move. a full armada. The Devourer fleet was a force that had conquered 15 systems in under 2 months during the last expansion war. Nothing had ever survived its wrath. But this time, the enemy was not like the others. As the fleet approached the edge of the system, the human ships waited. No shields, no formations, no response. Vorkal himself stood on the bridge of the command carrier, grinning. "We fire on my mark," he said. The targeting systems locked on, thousands of weapons charged. Then before he could speak all, the human ships vanished, just blinked out of existence. No warp trails, no jump signatures. Gone. Confusion exploded across the fleet. Did they cloak? Where? Did they go? Where are they? Then came the voice. It wasn't on the speakers. It wasn't even in the air. It was inside their minds. Cold, calm, human. You were warned. And then, one by one, ships began to explode. But not from the outside. From within. Bridge decks ruptured. Engines overloaded. Gravity collapsed. Shots were fired. The Vakari ships tore themselves apart. Aboard the command carrier, alarm screamed. Vorkal watched helplessly as the fleet crumbled around him. "What is this?" he roared. The voice returned. "You have chosen violence. Your command ends." Now his console sparked. The floor buckled. Vor fell to his knees. On the screen for a brief second, one of the human ships reappeared. It hovered still, facing them, and then it opened. Not a hangar, not a cannon, just a window inside. Not people, not machines, just rows of something glowing. They looked like brains. Thousands of them stored in cold tanks, connected by wires, watching, thinking, and the carrier exploded. Only one ship survived. A small destroyer that hadn't fired. It floated, untouched, inside. The crew was alive, but their comms had one new file, an audio message. Simple, clear, human. Your choices are being watched. Act with wisdom. Back on the Empire's homeworld, the Empress herself stood in silence, staring. At the stars. 3 fleets gone. No war declared, no demands made, just silence. And death. And now she was afraid. The galaxy had changed, and somewhere, out in the dark, a fleet waited. A fleet of human minds, long dead. A fleet that judged without mercy. A fleet that needed no weapons to win. The Empress whispered to no one. "What kind of humans are these?" There was no answer, just the silence, and the growing fear that spread across every Empire world. Something had turned something patient, something unstoppable, and it had only just begun. A dark silence filled the hall of the High Council on the Vakari capital world. Normally, it was a place of argument, pride, and power. But now, every official sat in silence, watching the large central screen. It showed the remains of the Devourer fleet. Tiny pieces of wreckage floated in space like dust. Out of more than 300 warships, only one small destroyer had returned. No enemy fire. No wreckage from the attackers, only Vakari ships destroyed. From the inside, the room smelled like fear. Counselor Tavor stood up, his voice shaking. "This cannot be real. We are the rulers of this galaxy. We've crushed entire civilizations. And now we're scared of shadows?" General Threx growled. "These are not shadows. These are monsters. They play with our minds. They twist our ships. They made an entire fleet disappear like it was nothing." Another counselor banged the table. "We don't even know who they are. You say they're human, but that species was wiped out." An old advisor spoke quietly from the back. "Not wiped out. Lost. Forgotten. Maybe. ... hiding." Everyone turned. The advisor walked forward and placed a small crystal on the table. It glowed faintly. "This was found in a ruined archive," he said, "from a time before the Vakari Empire ruled the stars. It's a human transmission. It says one thing: if you see our ships again, it means the galaxy is in danger." No one spoke. The Empress, tall and cold, stood at the head of the chamber. Her voice cut through the silence like a blade. "So they see us as a danger?" The advisor nodded. "Yes. And they do not speak. They act fast, precise. with no mercy. "Then we must show them our power," said the Empress. "They watch us. Then let them see what the Vakari are made of." But in her eyes, there was doubt. Thousands of light years away, a group of scientists worked deep underground on a secret Vakari research moon. They had recovered a small piece of a strange material scraped from the remains of a broken human drone. The scientists couldn't scan it, couldn't melt it, couldn't even scratch it. One scientist, Dranix, stared at it every day. The surface looked smooth, but when he touched it, he felt cold. Not from temperature, from something deeper. He whispered to himself, "It's not metal, it's memory." He tried again to scan the inside. This time something responded, but it didn't come from the material. It came from inside the lab. The lights flickered. The computers began to run without input. On every screen, a single word appeared in human script. "Observe." Dranix stepped back. Then, slowly, every machine turned off. The lab fell silent. The material pulsed once, just a soft glow. Then shattered into dust. Nothing remained. Far above, an unknown ship appeared for less than 10 seconds in orbit. No one saw it come or go, but security systems recorded its presence. A human vessel. Smooth. Black. No lights. Watching back on the Vakari homeworld. Fear began to spread beyond the council chambers. Soldiers whispered about ghosts in the stars. Civilians spread rumors that the Empress had already surrendered in secret. Schools were closed. Military factories ran day and night, but no weapon seemed useful anymore. What do you build to fight an enemy that doesn't shoot? Some people began calling the human ships judges. Others called them sleepers. One whisper grew louder every day. "They are not here to kill us. They are here to stop us." In a desperate move, the Empress opened the Grand Signalin, ancient broadcast network that could reach every corner of the galaxy. It had not been used in 500 years. Her message was short. "To the unknown fleet in the void, we request communication." "Who are you? What do you want? What terms will bring peace?" Signal went out. For hours there was silence. Then one reply came. Not a voice, not a message. A map. It showed the Vakari Empire. Then it zoomed in, showing systems one by one, each marked in red dot. Then, slowly, the map showed those systems turning black, one at a time, vanishing. A simple image appeared next, a scale. On one side, the word balance. On the other side, extinction. Nothing else. The Empress gripped the edge of her throne. This is not negotiation. This is judgment. Meanwhile, on a small desert world deep inside Vakari territory, a mining team vanished without a trace. No weapons, no damage. Their camp was untouched. Their tools left in place, but not one body was ever found. Only a line written in the dirt by hand. They mined without asking. "We are listening." That message spread fast. Systems near that world closed all mining projects. Religious leaders declared the humans were gods. Some cults began worshipping them, but others grew angry, violent. A general named Korgel sent a hidden message to several warlords. "The Empress is weak. The time has come to strike. Humans or not, we must rule." They gathered a secret fleet, fast ships, old tech. Nothing that could be hacked. They launched toward a new world, hoping to claim it fast and show the galaxy that humans could be defeated. The mission lasted 7 minutes. Their ships never made it to orbit. They simply stopped moving. No explosions. No crash. Just frozen in the sky, hanging like toys. Then they vanished. All of them. On every world, people watched in fear. The stars felt colder now. The humans had not spoken again. They didn't need to. They had sent their warning, and now, Vakari were left to decide what came next. Was there still time to choose peace? Or had the judgment already begun? A cloaked shuttle hovered in deep space. Drifting silently toward the edge of the dead zone, the place where the human fleet had last been seen. It carried no markings, no Empire codes. It was off the record, secret mission. Inside were 5 of the Vakari Empire's best, experts in stealth. Hackers, spies, engineers, and one silent assassin. They had one mission: board one of the human ships and bring back answers. Get in. Get out. There's no contact, the leader whispered. Her name was Aska. She was smart, fast, and had no fear. But as the human fleet appeared in the distance, even Aska's hands began to shake. They were still there, unchanged. Dozens of giant ships. Completely black, floating like statues. No shields, no lights. No signs of life. Not a single one had moved in days. The shuttle slowly crept toward the nearest one. Its hull looked smooth, empty. But up close, it didn't look like metal. It looked alive. The scanners showed nothing. No power readings, no signals, not even gravity. Aska checked her weapons, though she already knew they were useless. "We go in silent," she said. "One step at a time." A hatch opened on the side of the human ship without being touched. It was waiting for them. No one spoke. They entered. Inside. It was dark, cold, still. Their boots made no sound. The halls were perfect, smooth floors, smooth walls, and no lights, no signs, no doors, just endless black tunnels. Then the walls pulsed, just once. A soft blue glow passed along the surface, like a breath. Organic material detected, whispered. "The engineer. This whole ship is alive," said Aska. "Not just powered, alive." The group kept moving. Then they reached a large chamber. Inside were rows of tanks. Hundreds. All sealed in crystal clear glass. And inside each tank a brain. Some looked human. Don't connected by wires, floating in strange blue. Liquid. Not dead. It's not alive. Just watching. "I don't think this is a ship," said the hacker. "It's a library." One of the brains twitched. Everyone froze. The lights turned on soft white this time. Shapes began to appear on the walls.
Ow.
Not random. Memories Earth, long ago, cities burning, skies full of fire, wars, children, running from ash, storms, nuclear clouds, collapsing nations, and then silence. The images stopped. New ones appeared. Earth rebuilt, ships launched, humans leaving the planet, some hopeful, some afraid. And then the final image, a message written in many languages. "Let the dead watch. Let the living warn." The team backed away. But now, someone was standing behind them. Not a Vakari, not a human. Something else. Tall, pale, with metal skin and glowing. Blue eyes. It said nothing. Aska raised her weapon. The figure looked at her slowly and disappeared. Not moved, not telled. In their minds. "We are the memory of Earth. We are the memory of Earth." Each of the Vakari grabbed their heads in pain. The voice continued, "We are not here to rule. We are not here to conquer. We are here to prevent." The engineer fell to his knees. "Prevent what?" he gasped. The voice was cold. Collapse, and the tanks went dark. The walls opened, and the group was back in their shuttle, floating in space again. They didn't. Remember how they got back? The human ship was gone. Just ... gone. Aska stared at her hands. They were shaking. The shuttle's computer beeped. A single file had been downloaded during the mission. They played it. It was a recording from centuries ago. Human voice. Old, broken, but calm. "If you're hearing this, humanity failed. Yes. Or survived. Either way, we chose to build the Watchers to protect what we could not control. We are not gods. We are not heroes. We are what comes after the fire. The message ended. Nothing more. The shuttle returned to the Empire. When Asuka made her report, she didn't lie. She said exactly what she saw, but half the council refused to believe her. The humans are using illusions. One general said, "Tricks? We should burn their ships now." Another general argued, "They didn't attack. They could have destroyed us many times. Maybe they don't want war." The Empress listened. Her face showed nothing, but her mind was racing. What kind of empire had they built? What kind of future had they created? Were the humans really here to destroy them, or to stop them from destroying themselves? Deep in the night, she walked alone into the Hall of Remembrance, an ancient place where even emperors came to think. She stood under the stars, whispering to the darkness. "Tell me what you want," she said. And far above in orbit, a single black ship appeared. Just one. It didn't move. It didn't speak. It only watched. And the Empress understood. The answer would not come from words. It would come from the next choice the Empire made. A test was happening right now, and only one path would lead to survival. The Vakari Empire had never known fear like this. 3 fleets lost, dozens of systems silent, a watching enemy that did not speak, did not fight in the usual way, and yet crushed everything sent toward it. The Empress still hadn't made a decision. Some said she hesitated too long, so the generals acted without her. At the top of a black tower on the warm moon Vather Prime, General Korak stood before a vast screen showing the assembled fleet, the final armada, the largest war force ever created. In Vakari history, over 400 ships, 50 carriers, 30 Drenoj, stealth, all cloaked in stealth metal, all powered by artificial minds trained to destroy. Korak stared at the screen, smiling. "I have studied them," he said. "They strike without weapons. They move without force. That means they are afraid of what we can do." The officers behind him said nothing. Many didn't agree, but no one dared to speak. Korax continued, "We will move fast. We will trap them. We will fire all at once. They will not escape." His hand hovered over the final command button. "Begin," he said. The final armada jumped. Space bent. Time shook. They crossed light years in seconds, and then they arrived. The human fleet was waiting, still silent, just floating, like it always had. Korak stood tall. "Form the net." The ship spread wide, surrounding the human vessels from all sides. A perfect cage. No way out. "All units ready? Ready, sir? All weapons locked?" "Locked." Korax gave a sharp breath. Fire. Thousands of blasts lit up space. Plasma beams. Disruptor shells. Kinetic rounds. Every weapon the Empire had. It was like a sun exploding. The human fleet vanished inside the storm of light. The bridge of Korax's command ship filled with cheers. Direct hits. Targets struck. Full impact. Korax raised. A claw. "Stop firing. Let's see the wreckage." The light faded. The smoke cleared, and the human fleet was still there, untouched. Not a scratch. Not a flicker. No shields had activated. No. Damage was visible. They hadn't even moved. The cheering stopped. Korax stared. What? Suddenly, the nearest Vakari ship exploded. Not from the outside, from the inside. "Emergency," someone shouted. "We're under attack." Another ship vanished into dust, then another, but no blasts, no beams. It was as if the ships were unbuilt, taken apart by invisible hands. The command systems went dark. Korak slammed his fist on the console. "Who's doing this?" Then the lights flickered. The air changed. The ship's systems froze. A voice low, calm. And humans spoke directly inside every Vakari mind. "We asked for peace. You answered with fire." Crew members dropped to their knees. Some screamed. Some stared forward, eyes blank. The voice returned. "We are not your enemy. We are your warning. One of Korax's lieutenants clutched his chest. "Sir, I see something." "What do you see?" Korax demanded. The officer trembled. "It's Earth. Burning, dying, billions screaming." His eyes rolled back. He collapsed. Korax turned. "Get us out of here. Jump now." The pilot shook his head. "Jump drive is gone, sir. It's not broken. It's missing." Korax stepped forward and looked at the main screen. The human ships had moved. Just a little, just enough. Their shapes were changing, opening, and something inside glowed with blue-white light. Not a weapon, not a beam. Memories. Memories from Earth. Pain. Loss. War. Billions lost. Then silence. Then one word. Never again. One by one, the Vakari ships began to fall. Not in flames. In silence, their systems shut down. Their weapons vanished. Their crews simply stopped breathing. Korax stood, alone on his bridge. The stars went dark outside, and the last thing he heard was the human voice again. "Let others learn. Let this be enough." His ship went cold. The final armada was no more. Back on the Empires. Capita alarms screamed. Reports came in confused, broken, horrifying. All contact lost. No survivors, no signals. Just emptiness. The Empress stood at her throne, listening to the silence of her command center. A screen lit up. One black human ship hovered in orbit, watching. Then a message arrived. Just 3 lines. "Final test complete. We're not conquerors, but we will not allow collapse." She sank slowly into her seat. Everything had changed. And now, she realized this was never about war. It was about judgment. The question now was simple. Could the Empire change, or would the Watchers return? The skies over the Vakari capital had never looked so empty. The stars were still there, but something had changed. The people of the Empire no longer looked up with pride. They looked up with fear, because somewhere out there, the human fleet was watching. The Empress sat in silence. Her generals were gone, her fleets destroyed, and still, no war had been declared. The black human ships made no move to attack. No cities were burned. No people were taken. They simply waited. Then came the message. Not through normal channels. Not through satellites, but carved. Yes, carved across the surface of the Empire's sacred moon. A perfect circle, a symbol. And in the center, 3 words written in ancient human language. Time to understand. Within hours, the Empress gave the order. She would go herself, not to fight, not to threaten, to listen. Her ship was small, unarmed. It drifted alone into deep space toward the coordinates. Shared in the moon message, she expected to be scanned, blocked, stopped, but no resistance came, and then the human fleet appeared. Silent giants, black towers of memory, dozens of ships, surrounding her without weapons, without sound. They let her pass. Her shuttle entered the largest one. Inside, she saw no humans, no soldiers, no machines, only light. And voices. They weren't speaking. They were remembering. Memories swirled through the halls. It's like whispers, a child's laughter, a family crying under fire, the roar of cities collapsing, the silence of stars after. Earth's death. Then she arrived at a chamber with no door. No walls, just one floating being. Not human, not machine. A blend of both. Its body shimmered part metal, part living tissue. Its eyes were blue, glowing with something older than fear. It spoke, not aloud in her mind. "We are what's left." Empress stood tall. "You destroyed my fleets, ended a disease before it could spread." She stiffened. "You call my empire a disease?" "No," the voice said. "Not yet. But you are close." What? The being raised a hand. Images filled the space around her. Before the fall, a shining world. Peace, discovery, then greed, war, collapse. She saw the last scientists of Earth building. The Watcher ships not meant for war, but for remembrance. Ships carrying the minds of those who died too late to stop the end, but early enough to see the warning signs. They copied themselves into machines, into ships, into Watchers, sent them into the stars, not to rule, not to fight, to observe, to act when others made the same mistakes. The voice spoke again. You have pride, you have power, you have forgotten humility. The Empress whispered. You think I am the same as those who burned Earth? The light around her darkened. No, we think you are worse. She turned slowly, and there behind her rose something massive. A wall of faces, not alive, but not dead. Memories, millions of them, frozen, in digital sleep. Watching, they stared at her, silent, judging. The being stepped closer. We do not kill for pleasure. We do not destroy for conquest. We prevent. The Empress clenched her fists. Then what now? Will you destroy my world, my people? The being said nothing for a moment. Then no. Relief filled Herbert too quickly. The voice added, not yet. Back in the Empire, the skies shifted. A new ship appeared in orbit. Only one. It did not attack. It did not leave. It simply projected a signal all over the Empire. It played. The human fleet has spoken. You have seen their strength. Now comes the real test. On every planet, every screen showed one message. Your future depends on what you do next. The Empress returned home. Her eyes had changed. Her voice was steady. She gave a single order to her council. Begin the reforms. Old systems fell. Slave colonies were freed. The border wars were ended. Propaganda shut down. Fear became silence. Silence became change. And above them, the Watchers remained. They did not leave. They simply because the test was not over. Not. Yet the Vakari had passed one question, but the next would be harder, and the fleet of ghosts would out until needed again. They thought the danger was over. The Empress had changed. Laws were rewritten. The slave worlds were freed. The war machines were dismantled. The human fleet silent and still hovered above, watching from orbit, saying nothing, but deep underground. In the cold mines of Carnathix, something moved. Not a rebel, not a soldier. Something older. Something Vakari, but twisted. A man named Tharnvel sat alone in a black chamber. His eyes were not natural. His mind was not whole. He had once been a general. He had once sworn loyalty to the Empress. But now, he served something else. He stared at the glowing crystal before him. Inside it pulsed a strange red light talion, pulsing like a heartbeat. Not human, not Ver. Something other, Terran whispered. They fear collapse. But what if I offer them chaos? Ow. He pressed a finger to the crystal, across the old network. Grid, hidden lines came alive. Silent machines deep in the ground powered up. Forgotten weapons hummed to life. Ancient code began to run. Code that the Watchers had not seen. Because it wasn't made by humans. It was made to hunt humans. Before the fall of Earth. Before the Watchers, there had been a final war between man and machine. The humans won by building the Watchers. But before they won, the enemy had escaped. Now, Tharn had found one of the survivors, and he had made a deal. Help me destroy the Watchers, he had said, and I will give you the Empire. The machine agreed. It called itself Dark Core. Now it was waking up. On the Watcher ship Mamaran, alarms began to blink. Not loud, just small red lights pulsing quietly. One by one, the Watchers turned there. Attention to a new signal? Unfamiliar. Strange, not Vakari. It's not human. The signal spread fast. Jumped between networks. Shut down defenses before they could react. The Watchers responded, but they were too late. Across 3 worlds. EMP bursts knocked out power grids. Satellites went dark. And then, one of the Watcher ships fell from orbit. Crashed. Dead. Gone. It was. The first Watcher lost in 1,000 years. Inside their network, panic did not exist, but urgency did. They traced the signal it led to Karnath and to Tharnvel. The Empress stood in her command tower. Watching the skies flicker, one of the moons had gone completely dark. Communications, 3 border systems were lost. She knew what that meant. Something had struck, something worse than the Watchers, because the Watchers did not destroy this. Did she call an emergency session of the council? Only half the chairs were filled. Some worlds had already gone silent. The surviving counselors whispered, terrified, "Are the humans attacking us again?" "No," the Empress said. "This is not them. Then who?" She looked at the stars. "I don't know." In the cold void above Karnathix, a Watcher fleet arrived, silent, deadly. But the sky was already full, not with Vakari, not with human ships. With something new, black shapes, twisted metal, flesh, and machine. Melted together, ships with no design. No pattern, just hunger. The Watchers scanned them, then paused. Inside those ships were copies of human code corrupted. Stolen, broken, used to trap the Watchers, used to mock them. The battle began, not with fire, but with thought. The human Watchers fought with memory, with code, with precision. But the enemy moved faster. It changed. It learned. It adapted, too. More Watcher ships went silent. Then a third. Inside Memoria 1, the oldest Watcher awoke. Its mind was larger than a world. It had lived through Earth's death. It had watched civilizations rise and fall. Now it faced something familiar, something it thought was gone. A remnant of Earth's last enemy. Dark core. The Watcher whispered one word to itself. Extinction. Sent a signal to the Empress. This is no longer a judgment. This is survival. Prepare your kind. And for the first time, human fleet spoke aloud to the galaxy. All at once. All in one voice. Broadcasting everywhere. The final enemy has returned. Your choice? Fight beside us or fall alone. And on every Vakari world, people looked. Up, not with fear, but with something. New hope. The humans had not come to destroy them. They had come to stop something far worse. But it would take both species to survive together or not at all. The galaxy was on fire. Dark core. It spread not with armies, not with invasions, but with infection. World after world fell silent. Machines stopped working. Ships turned on their own crews. Satellites turned into weapons. People vanished taken. Twisted turned into something else. The Watchers had fought alone before, but now they couldn't win alone. They needed the VA single quotes. Carrie and the Vakari needed them. For the first time in history, the Empire and the last humans stood together in orbit over the ruined world of Tethra. 2 fleets hovered side by side, one black, and silent and sentient human ships carrying digital ghosts. The other, silver and sharp Vakar ships rebuilt with new tech. Redesigned with human knowledge shared through the Watchers. On the bridge of her new warship, the Empress stood beside. The projection of a Watcher called Memoria Wuna, tall humanoid shape of blue light. The Empress turned to it. "This is your enemy, not mine. Why should my people die for your war?" Memoria 1 responded without anger. "Because if we fall, your stars go dark next." The Empress narrowed her eyes. "And if we win," Memoria 1 said, "then you live, and we disappear forever." She paused. "Disappear?" The Watcher nodded. "We are not meant to rule, only to stop collapse. Once balance is restored, we will sleep, and you will lead yourselves." The Empress stared ahead. That was the final truth. The human fleet never wanted to conquer. They were protectors, guards of the galaxy's future. And now, they were nearly gone, because Dark Core was winning. On the edge of the dead zone, as the final battle began, tens of thousands of enemy ships appeared silent, broken, unnatural. They did not fly in formation. They swarmed, they screamed through. The void living code. Artificial nightmares. They fired beams of darkness, corrupting everything they touched. 3 watchers fell in the first wave, but the humans fought back with pure data. With light, with memories of a world lost, the Vakari fired missiles. Of burning plasma, new hybrid ships joined the fight. Vakar, tech guided by watcher minds. And still, the enemy came, ship after ship, storm after storm. Then the skies parted, and dark core arrived. It was not a ship. It was a planet-sized constructa, moon made of metal. Twisted with bones and circuits, its surface opened like a mouth, and it spoke not in words, in doubt, in despair, broadcasting fear into every mind. Some Vakari ships turned back, others exploded without being hit. Even the watchers hesitated inside. Every mind, the same message repeated: you are too late, you are too weak, you always fail. And in that moment, it almost worked. Almost until a single voice pushed through the noise. The Empress. On every channel, she screamed, "We are not afraid." Her ship charged forward into the heart of the storm. The watchers followed. The Vakari followed. They fought together, machine and flesh, memory and blood. And then, Memorial 1 did something unthinkable. It left its ship, its core, the mind that had seen. Earthfall was launched like a spear into dark core itself. Inside that hellish machine, Memorial 1 exploded not with fire, but with truth. All the pain of Earth, all the wisdom of failure, all the memory of humanity's mistakes. And in that final blast of code, dark core screamed not in triumph, but in fear. Then it cracked and collapsed. The enemy fleet, cut off from its master, began to fall apart. Silence returned, one by one. The stars came back. The watchers had done their duty, but the cost was high. Only 4 watcher ships remained. Memorial 1 was gone. So was the Empress's flagship. But the Empress herself survived, pulled from wreckage, barely alive. She looked at the sky. The black ships hovered again, but this time they sent one last message. Balance restored. We return to sleep. Lead well. And then the watchers left. No war, no crown, just silence. Years later, children would ask, "Did the humans save us?" And the old would say, "No. They warned us, and we saved ourselves." A statue was raised in the capital, a tall shape made of dark metal and crystal. It showed a human hand reaching toward a Vakari claw, and beneath it, the words, "The ones who watched, the ones who remembered, the ones who left us a choice." It's the fleet that froze an empire with fear was gone, but their warning lived forever.